Coming up on Look Today, well, invasive species are on the rise in Lake George, but the winter may solve that issue. I've got details. Plus, we've got continuing coverage, Saratoga City Charter review process. More on that coming up. And SUNY Adirondack postpones its decision on whether or not to arm their security officers. I've got those details. All ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone, I'm Jay Hood Jackson. This is Look Today. On tonight's program, I sit down with Nicole DiPalermo. Now she's president of the SPAC Action Council, and we're joined by Betty Spinelli. She's a historian, and they're here to talk about a SPAC luncheon that's happening on October 26th. I also sit down with Bob Reed. Now he's former NFL player of Minnesota Vikings, and we're joined by Melaine Jackson. She's a singer and songwriter. And they're here to talk about upcoming jazz barbecue that's happening this weekend. Plus, we got your weather for the Tri-North counties, but first, these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, as we continue to cover the Saratoga Springs City Charter review process, we've been speaking to a wide number of community members and leaders. Well, recently, we spoke to Mayor Joanne Yepsen, who, surprisingly to some, supports a change in the government in Saratoga.
These positions on the city council only pay $14,500, so it is more than a full-time job, and yet it's not a salary that anybody can live on. So it really excludes a lot of people from running. Proof is in the pudding, and that is that 3 of our city council members this year are unopposed and have no opposition.
Wow, good point. But we also talked to Deputy Mayor Meg Kelly.
I've been working in City Hall for a little over a year now, and I see that the city employees need clear leadership. And I feel that having the 5 separate departments, the 4 commissioners and the mayor, separates each department. And I think with clear leadership, with one city manager and an organizational chart that flows through each department and makes us work as a one unit, will be more efficient and cost savings for the city.
Yes. In other news, well, SUNY Adirondack has postponed its decision on whether or not the school will arm its campus security officers. Well, the discussion began a few months ago, proposing to arm the security officers with handguns, stun guns, and body cameras. Now, the cost of this, they state, will be around $59,000 a year. Well, we're going to have more on this tomorrow when we speak to President of the college, Dr. Christine Duffy. Switching from news to weather, well, fall is here. Temperatures in the mid-50s and 60s at night, down to the 30s and 40s. Let's see how the week is shaping up. For a more detailed look at our weather, let's head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm meteorologist Clarence Sponsor with your first look weather update here on Look TV. As you look at the national map, nothing really major. There's a high pressure system way out towards the southeast portion of Canada near the Atlantic Maritimes, as well as towards New England as well. So we're going to see beautiful clear skies for the overnight. And of course, this tropical wave bringing some showery weather to parts southeast. This cold front boundary is slowly making its way through the center portion of the country. So a clear night across much of the northeast with that dominant high pressure system, but cool 30s, 40s across the area. We'll see 44 in Clifton Park. Saratoga Springs about 43, the overnight low. Fort Edward 41. Towards Glens Falls will be in the lower 40s as well. Pottersville and Johnsburg we'll see mid 40s. May see a few very isolated spots in the lower 40s, maybe upper 30s. Patchy fog will be an issue late in the overnight. Otherwise, mostly clear skies and that calm breeze. We'll see some patchy fog early with more sunshine later in the day. 72 for your Tuesday out the door forecast. We'll see that fog lift away, but we'll warm up as we head from the mid 40s to about 50 through the 8 a.m. hour. The extended forecast, we'll see temperatures generally in the 70s through your Thursday. The cold front passes by Friday with bringing us a 50% chance of showers. And then we'll see highs only in the 60s. At least it'll be mostly sunny by the time we get to Saturday. But that's about 4 to 5 days out, so pay Pay attention to the details later in the forecast as we head along this week. That's a look at the first look weather update. I'm meteorologist Clarence Ponser. Now I send it back to you, Jesse.
Clarence, looks like we're going to get another couple of days of summer. Yay. Back to the news. Well, we told you recently it's been a resurgence of the Asian clam invasive species in Lake George. Now, Lake George Park Commission recently released a report stating that sites of the clam have increased up to 23 different locations. Now, once the clam has established its location, it is costly to remove them. And once they are settled, the clam releases nutrients which create a haven for green algae. Wow, we spoke to Dave Wick. He's executive director of the Lake George Park Commission.
Our best hope right now is twofold. One is Mother Nature. The colder the winters are, the more die-off we have, which is great. So we're seeing a strong boom and bust cycle. So we have huge population growth and then a mass die-off at the end of the year. If that keeps up, then we're going to be perfectly fine. But we don't want to really rely on that. Darren Freshwater Institute has been studying this worm that burrows into the clam itself and eats the juveniles out. That looks pretty promising, but a huge amount more research needs to be done before we even consider using that as a control technique.
Wow. Up next, I sit down with Nicole DiPalermo. Now, she's president of the SPAC Action Council, and we're joined by Betty Spinelli. She's a historian, and they're here to talk about a SPAC luncheon that's happening on October 26th. I also sit down with Bob Reed. He's former NFL player, Minnesota Vikings, and we're joined by Melaine Jackson. She's a singer and a songwriter. They're here to talk about upcoming jazz barbecue that's happening this very weekend. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Then give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000.